So, 2026, it's right around the corner. And it's shaping up to be a year of, well, intense challenges and contradictions. It feels like a time where all the old rules are breaking down and the new ones haven't quite been written yet. It kind of feels like we're all sailing straight into a perfect storm of change.
And that idea of a storm-tossed journey, it actually gives us a great guide for thinking about the year. Odysseus, the hero from Homer's Odyssey. The classicist Daniel Mendelssohn has this great line where he calls him the perfect hero for our storm-tossed times. And it makes so much sense, right? His whole story is this epic, brutal journey home, facing down monsters, and just total uncertainty. It's a really powerful metaphor for where the world is headed in 2026, a path that's going to be defined by some really tough choices and, some huge consequences. So, what are the monsters we're going to face on our own Odyssey?
So what exactly are these storms brewing on the horizon? Well, in this explainer, we're going to navigate through three of the biggest ones. First up, a real crisis in democracy. Then we'll look at the double-edged sword of technology. And finally, we'll dive into a massive shift in the global economic order. All right, let's get into it.
Okay, first up, the state of democracy. We're talking about these deep, partisan divides that are testing democratic systems to their absolute limits. You can see it all across the West. This battle is just raging between populist nationalism and the political establishment. And in 2026, it feels like it's hitting a real fever pitch.
And you really don't have to look any further than the United States to see this in action. In July, the country is set to mark its 250th birthday, its semi-quincentennial. Now, you'd think this would be a moment of unity, right? But instead, the celebration itself has become a symbol, a perfect snapshot of just how politically fractured the nation really is.
And this slide just lays out that split so perfectly. I mean, look at this. On one side, you've got the official America 250 Commission. This was created by Congress, and the whole idea was to be bipartisan. On the other side, President Trump's Task Force 250, created by executive order to push a very, very specific version of American history. You've got two commissions, two totally different stories for one birthday. It's pretty tough.
And look, this isn't just about throwing a party. It goes way deeper. As George Orwell famously wrote, "Whoever controls the past controls the future." This is a high-stakes battle for America's national story. Each side is trying to shape the country's identity for generations to come.
But this democratic stress test, it's definitely not just an American thing. If you look across Europe, a very similar battle is playing out. You have these populist parties challenging the political firewalls that have for a long time kept them from getting any real power.
And this table here, it really shows you the key flashpoints. Take Germany, for instance. The AfD is polling so strongly in state elections that it could actually breach the Braunmauer, that's the firewall, for the first time ever. Then you've got France, where all this government instability could easily trigger new elections, which might just hand Marine Le Pen's national rally the Prime Minister's office. And over in Britain, local elections are going to be the big test to see if Reform UK's strong polling numbers can finally turn into actual on-the-ground power.
All right, the second major storm front we're facing is all about technology. 2026 is shaping up to be the year where the incredible, mind-blowing promise of innovation slams right into its potential for disruption and for danger.
And right at the heart of this conflict, of course, is artificial intelligence. We've kind of moved past the, wow, look what this chatbot can do phase, and we're now in a full-blown investment mania. It's all built on the promise that AI is going to transform, well, pretty much everything. And the sheer scale of this bet is, well, it's just mind-boggling. One estimate projects that $7 trillion will be poured into AI by the end of the decade. $7 trillion. It's a financial boom that is completely banking on this technology succeeding. But here's the massive reality check. Right now, a staggering 95% of corporate AI pilot projects are failing to generate any financial return at all. There is this huge yawning gap between all the hype and the actual profitable use of AI by real businesses. So this gap, it creates enormous risks. I mean, what if investors lose faith? That could trigger a market correction that wipes out trillions. But what if it goes the other way and adoption does speed up, especially with these new autonomous AI agents that are basically designed to be drop-in replacements for human workers? Well, that could spark a huge social backlash against AI as a job-stealing menace, especially for new grads just trying to enter the workforce.
And this tension between technology's promise and its peril, it isn't just happening down here on Earth. In 2026, the final frontier is quickly becoming the next battlefield as military competition in space heats up dramatically.
We're basically watching a new arms race kick off, step by dangerous step. The US is pushing for a Golden Dome missile shield. Russia is reportedly testing a space-based nuclear weapon designed to wipe out entire satellite networks. And at the same time, countries like Britain and France are openly developing their own offensive counter-space capabilities. I mean, decades of norms that kept space peaceful, they're just eroding right before our eyes.
Okay, our third storm is economic. The tectonic plates of the global economy are shifting, and it's creating a whole new landscape with new winners, new losers, and a whole new set of rules.
And this chart right here, it captures a truly historic moment. Sometime in early 2026, India's economy is projected to actually overtake Japan's, making it the fourth largest in the entire world. I mean, after zooming past countries like Britain and Canada, it's now closing in on Germany for that number 3 spot. Just incredible.
But, and this is so important, here's the crucial context. It's another one of 2026's great contradictions. So while India is an economic giant in absolute terms, it's still a poor country when you look at GDP per person. It ranks 126th in the world. All that wealth is shared among more than 11 times as many people as in Japan. So you have this paradox. India is a new superpower and a nation still fighting widespread poverty, all at the very same time.
Meanwhile, the established economic powers, they're facing some serious headwinds of their own. The whole post-war trade order, which was led by the United States, is under immense pressure from a much more assertive China, which sees a huge opportunity in America's recent turn inward. And China has a very clear playbook for 2026. It's doubling down on tech self-reliance, trying to get around U.S. sanctions. It's using its role as host of the APEC summit to paint itself as Asia's most reliable economic partner, and it's signing trade deals everywhere, with ASEAN, the Gulf states, you name it, all while trying to handle its own domestic slowdown by pushing more exports out into the global market. Every single one of these moves is a calculated play to reshape the economic order in its favor. But you know, it's not all grand strategy and geopolitical chess. The character of 2026 is also being shaped by some really surprising and even contradictory cultural and consumer trends that are happening just below the surface. These are the small shifts that actually tell a much bigger story about our changing world.
Like for instance, 2026 is the year the world officially hits peak wine, which is a fascinating sign of how tastes and lifestyles are changing globally. It's also the year that weight loss drugs are set to go truly global. Patents are expiring, which could make them accessible to billions and totally reshape public health. And get this, after more than 230 years, 2026 is the year America is finally set to say goodbye to the penny. A tiny change, sure, but one that says a lot about economic evolution and, just letting go of the past.
So as we navigate our way through this turbulent year, one thing becomes crystal clear. 2026 is really defined by its unresolved conflicts. It's a year of huge contradictions, of booms and busts, of new powers rising while old alliances fray, of immense promise and, at the same time, of equal peril.
And that brings us back, finally, to Odysseus. Just like him, our world finds itself on a storm-tossed sea, facing its own set of monsters and forks in the road. And the ultimate question for 2026, the one we're all left with, is this: which path will we choose?